Ever feel like you're just looking for a bit more direction? Maybe some pointers for navigating, life's ups and downs. We all get that.
Definitely.
So today, on the deep dive, we're doing just that. We're taking a closer look, a real deep dive into a pretty dense collection of potential life lessons.
That's right. We've been watching this YouTube video, and it's got a title that, well, grabs your attention. 70 life lessons that will fix 93% of your problems comes from the channel. Quotes.
93%. That's quite a claim.
It is bold, yeah. You have to admire the confidence.
But putting that number aside for a second, the video itself, it covers a lot of ground, doesn't it? Lots of observations about getting through life.
It really does.
So our mission here isn't just to list off 70 points. We want to dig in, pull out the ideas that really hit home, the ones that seem most insightful, and, understand why they matter. Hopefully giving you a deeper understanding without just throwing tons of info at you.
Exactly. And what's interesting is the sheer range. It goes from our inner world thoughts, feelings, all the way to how we deal with other people. And building that inner resilience. It's a big map.
A very big map.
And we're trying to highlight the most useful parts.
Okay, let's dive right in then. How about we start with something fundamental? How we relate to ourselves. Self-awareness seems key in this video. One point that jumped out at me was about honesty, specifically in relationships. It says, being honest may not get you a lot of friends, but it'll always get you the right ones.
Yeah, there's a real kernel of truth there, isn't there? It's that quality versus quantity thing.
Right.
Think about it. Relationships built on actual honesty, even if there aren't as many, they're probably going to be stronger, more resilient,
Definitely more supportive.
Yeah, they allow for real connection, not like those surface-level friendships that might just, fall apart when things get tough.
And sticking with that social theme, the video goes right into comparing ourselves to others. It says pretty directly, every second you spend comparing your life to someone else's is a second spent wasting yours.
Oh, that's a big one.
And then it follows up with, don't compare the behind the scenes of your life to someone else's highlight reel, which is just so relevant today, right? With social media and everything.
Absolutely. It's everywhere. We're constantly seeing these perfectly polished versions of life. The highlight reel, exactly.
Not the messy bits.
Not the everyday struggles, no. And psychologically, that constant looking upwards, comparing, it can really make you feel, inadequate, dissatisfied.
It distracts you from your own stuff.
Totally. Your own path, your own progress. It's probably helpful just to consciously remind yourself, okay, what I'm seeing online, that's almost never the full story.
Good reminder. Then the video shifts focus inwards to our own minds. And there's this stark warning. Overthinking ruins you.
Whew. Yeah.
I think most of us can relate to that one. Getting stuck in those mental loops.
It's so common. When you overthink, you get caught in these cycles, right? Worrying, ruminating. And neurologically, that can actually strengthen those negative pathways in the brain, make the anxiety worse.
So what can you do?
Well, one practical thing might be to try and get those thoughts out of your head, like journaling. That can help you see them a bit more objectively.
Right, get some distance.
Exactly. Or mindfulness techniques, too. They can help you notice when you're starting to spiral and gently bring your focus back to, the present moment.
Okay. On a more positive note, though, it also says, don't look for happiness. It's always inside you.
Ah.
It's like a gentle nudge, isn't it? Shift your focus from out there to in here.
It is. And what's fascinating there is this idea of an internal locus of control regarding happiness.
Explain that a bit.
Sure. It's a psychological concept. Basically, people with a strong internal locus of control feel they have the power to influence their own life, their outcomes, including their happiness.
So it's about feeling like you're in the driver's seat.
Pretty much. Cultivating that sense of agency, focusing on your mindset, your values, that tends to lead to more lasting well-being than, say, always chasing the next external thing for validation or a quick pleasure hit.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it leads nicely into another point. Self-care is realizing that you are your greatest obstacle. That one, it really made me pause.
Yeah, it reframes self-care, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not just bubble baths, although those are nice. It's about the harder work, like identifying your own limiting beliefs, that negative self-talk, those patterns that hold you back.
So recognizing you're kind of creating the roadblocks yourself?
Precisely. And recognizing that is the first step to actually being able to, dismantle them.
Okay. The video also talks about solitude. It says, don't be afraid to be alone. Being by yourself is far superior than being with crappy people.
Huh. Pretty blunt.
Very blunt. But it's a strong point about valuing your own company.
It really emphasizes being selective about who you spend your energy on. Solitude, it can be incredibly valuable. Time to reflect, be creative, just recharge.
Without the drain of negative people.
Exactly, without those unfulfilling interactions. Learning to actually value being alone can be a really powerful form of self-care, actually.
Then there's this idea, quite profound. The life you experience is simply a reflection of your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful stuff. It suggests our whole reality is shaped by how we look at it.
And that lines up with a lot in psychology, doesn't it? The idea that our thoughts, our beliefs, they have this huge impact on how we perceive everything, how we interact with the world.
So a positive mindset literally changes your experience.
Well, yeah, a more optimistic, growth-focused mindset can genuinely open you up to seeing different opportunities, having different experiences, compared to someone with a more, say, negative or fixed view.
And a big part of that mindset seems to involve managing the ego. The advice is just, if you can drop anything from your world, drop the ego.
Easier said than done, right?
Definitely. But the message is clear.
Yeah. And ego here probably means things like, excessive pride, needing constant validation, getting defensive easily, always comparing yourself.
Things that get in the way.
Exactly. Those ego-driven habits can really block personal growth and cause friction in relationships. Just trying to notice those impulses when they come up without judging yourself for having them, that's a starting point for maybe letting them go a bit.
Okay. On the flip side of ego, maybe, is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
The video says, the more grateful you are, the more beauty you will see all around you.
Ah, yes. Simple but powerful.
It's just about shifting focus, isn't it?
It is. And the research backs this up. Positive psychology studies consistently show gratitude boosts positive emotions, makes us more aware of the good things, can even be good for our physical health.
Wow.
It's just about actively noticing, appreciating what you do have, instead of always focusing on what's missing.
That's a good practice. It also gives some practical social advice. Not everything in your brain needs to come out of your mouth.
Huh? Very true. A lesson many of us learn the hard way.
Guilty. Sometimes silence, or just thinking before speaking, is better.
It speaks to thoughtful communication, doesn't it? Considering the impact of your words. Not every fleeting thought or raw reaction needs to be aired. Just being more aware of how you communicate can really improve things with people.
And to understand ourselves better, the video suggests that sometimes the world is trying to tell you who you are, but if you don't stop to reflect and listen, you'll never be able to hear.
That's about paying attention, isn't it? To your life, your reactions.
Yeah, it seems like we need to actually carve out time for introspection.
We do. We're often so busy, caught up in everything external that we don't make space to just think, reflect on our experiences, our values, how we genuinely feel about things.
Even just a few minutes a day.
Even that can make a huge difference in self-knowledge over time.
Now, turning to how we see others, the video takes a bit of a pragmatic stance. People aren't for you or against you, they're for themselves.
Yeah, that can sound a bit cynical at first.
It can, but maybe it's just about managing expectations.
I think so. Understanding that people mostly act based on their own needs, their own motivations, it can lead to more realistic expectations. It doesn't have to mean people are inherently selfish, just self-interested in a basic way.
Fair enough. And linked to that, maybe, is the emphasis on self-reliance. Nobody is going to watch out for you, like you.
Right. It's a call to take ownership.
Be your own advocate.
Exactly. While getting support from others is vital, absolutely, this lesson really highlights that fundamental role of looking out for yourself. Ultimately, you're the one driving your own life and well-being.
And to fuel that, you need self-belief. The video gives a double dose here. Believe you can, and you're halfway there.
Classic.
And you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Trust yourself. Powerful stuff.
It really is. That concept of self-efficacy, believing you can actually do the thing, it's a huge predictor of success. When you believe in yourself, you're just more likely to try, to keep going when it gets tough, and yeah, reach your goals.
And at the heart of all this, self-awareness seems to be controlling our inner world. The only thing you can control is how you feel, do, and think.
That's a cornerstone of personal agency, isn't it?
It feels like it.
Just recognizing what's in your control versus what's not. That's so crucial for managing stress, finding some inner peace, focusing your energy on your thoughts, feelings, actions. That's where your power lies.
The video also mentions that personal growth isn't a one-shot deal, especially letting go.
Yeah.
It says letting go isn't a one-time thing. It's something you have to do every day over and over again.
Emotional processing is ongoing.
It's a practice.
Totally. Letting go of old hurts, beliefs that don't serve you, unhelpful patterns.
Yeah.
It's not like you flip a switch. It's a daily awareness, a conscious choice again and again to release what's holding you back.
And related to that inner work,
Yeah.
guard well your thoughts when alone.
Yeah, that internal dialogue matters.
Our private thoughts really shape our mood, how we see ourselves.
For sure. That inner monologue, it's like a running commentary. If you can cultivate more positive, more constructive self-talk, it can make a huge difference to your self-esteem, your overall well-being. It's about noticing the stories you tell yourself.
And ultimately, it seems we have a lot of say in who we become. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be.
Wow, that's a powerful statement on agency.
It really emphasizes choice, doesn't it? Intention.
Yeah. We're not just passively shaped by fate. We're active participants. We create who we become through our decisions, the paths we choose.
And sometimes that means letting go of old parts of ourselves. The video notes. Sometimes you have to let parts of yourself go. You'll never be happy.
That can be tough, that shedding process.
Necessary, though, it sounds like.
Often, yeah. Growth usually means stepping out of your comfort zone, letting go of identities or beliefs that just don't fit anymore. It can be uncomfortable, even involve a kind of grief, but it opens the door to something hopefully more fulfilling.
And trying to just ignore difficult emotions. Not a good long-term strategy, according to the video. Facing your emotions gives you more strength and happiness in the long run than shutting them down or ignoring them.
Right, it's about building emotional muscle, resilience.
Because avoiding them just makes things worse.
Often, yes. Emotional avoidance doesn't make the feelings disappear. They tend to pop up in other ways, maybe more stress, unhealthy coping habits. Learning to actually acknowledge and process your emotions, even the tough ones, builds emotional intelligence.
Okay, wrapping up this self-focus section, there are a few points that seem really interconnected. You are the only person that can simultaneously be your best friend and your worst enemy, and you can choose which one is more prevalent.
The power of choice again.
Then reinforcing responsibility. Your life is the result of the choices you make. There is no plan, just the consequences of choices.
Yeah, owning your decisions.
And finally, the directness of you have to help yourself. No one else can help you. You have to do it yourself. They all kind of point to the same core idea, don't they?
Absolutely. They really tie together this theme of, well, the profound impact of our inner landscape and our own actions. We can be our own biggest cheerleader or harshest critic, and ultimately we have the responsibility and the power to shape our lives through conscious choices and self-reliance.
Okay, let's shift gears now. Moving from the self to relationships and social dynamics, the video gets into some perhaps, well, sobering perspectives here.
Yeah, some realism.
Talks about how connections change. People change. Even your best friends can turn into strangers one day. And then this advice: don't get emotionally attached to anyone. That sounds extreme.
It does sound extreme, yeah. But maybe it's acknowledging the reality that relationships are dynamic. People grow, lives change, paths diverge.
So not necessarily don't care, but maybe don't cling too tightly.
Perhaps. Maybe it's encouraging a certain emotional resilience and understanding that not every connection is forever. Life is fluid.
Okay. On a more positive note about friendship, it offers ways to spot the real deal. First, to know who your true friends are. Look for the ones who say good things behind your back and bad things to their face.
Interesting definition. Highlights integrity, loyalty.
Yeah, consistency. And then a different angle. Your true friends become apparent when you're at your lowest.
Ah, that's a lovely image. It captures that real caring, protective instinct you see in true friendship, right? When someone just steps up, offers that unwavering support when you're vulnerable, like a parent would.
Both good ways to think about it.
Yeah.
The video also stresses setting boundaries. Never make someone a priority who only makes you an option.
Ooh, yes. Self-respect in action.
And also, if you are a friend of everybody, you are an enemy to yourself.
That's about protecting your own energy, isn't it? Trying to please everyone is exhausting and ultimately impossible. You end up neglecting your own needs.
And the priority versus option thing, consistently putting energy into people who don't value back, just leads to feeling resentful, right?
Totally. Undervalued. Healthy boundaries are key.
When trying to understand people, the advice is, let others' actions speak for them. People will show you far more than they will tell you.
Actions over words. Classic advice for a reason.
Behavior patterns tell the real story.
Often, yeah. Actions tend to be a more reliable guide to someone's true intentions, their character, than just what they say.
And when you're looking for advice yourself, the video points out people give you advice based on their perspective and warns, be smart enough to ask for advice, but be wise enough to know who to seek it from.
Crucial distinction. Context matters.
Someone's advice is filtered through their own life, their own biases.
Exactly. Their experiences, their worldview. It all shapes the recommendations they give. So, yeah, it's smart to consider the source. Is their experience relevant? Before you just take the advice on board.
Makes sense. The video also tackles moving on from relationships. It observes, just because you miss someone doesn't mean you need them back in your life. Missing is a part of getting over.
That's an important distinction. Missing versus needing back.
Yeah, nostalgia isn't the same as compatibility.
Right. Missing someone after a breakup is totally normal. It's part of healing. But it doesn't automatically mean getting back together is a good idea.
And then there's that colorful analogy. Going back to your ex is like having a shower and putting dirty underwear back on.
Ha! Yeah, it's blunt.
Very.
Yeah.
But it gets the point across, I guess.
It definitely conveys the idea of returning to something that, well, wasn't working. It wasn't clean, so to speak.
Okay. Interestingly, it touches on choosing a long-term partner, how priorities might shift. First, you choose a partner on the basis of their looks and enjoy action, until you realize that your kids will not be raised by their looks, but by their values.
The shift from attraction to deeper substance.
Maturity, maybe.
Yeah, it highlights how important shared values, character, core beliefs become for building something lasting, especially if you're thinking about family. Looks might bring you together, but it's the deeper stuff that sustains it.
The video also flags a potential red flag in conversation. If someone emphasizes that they are telling the truth, you can be sure they are lying.
Interesting. Like protesting too much.
Maybe. Suggesting genuine honesty doesn't need all that fanfare.
Possibly. Excessive, repeated insistence on "I'm telling the truth" can sometimes be a way to cover something up. Trust is usually built through consistent, transparent actions, not just claims.
And it warns against putting people on pedestals. If you put her on a pedestal, she has no choice but to look down on you.
Yeah, idealizing people creates an imbalance.
Sets them up to fail, maybe?
And yourself up for disappointment. Healthy relationships need mutual respect, accepting flaws, seeing each other as real people, not perfect idols.
Communication skills get a mention too, with the simple, you were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them in that proportion.
Good old listening advice.
Powerful reminder, though.
It really is. Active listening, actually paying attention, not just waiting to talk, is so fundamental for understanding and strong relationships.
The video also talks about protecting yourself from negativity. People will always project their fears in limiting beliefs onto you. What you must do is build a shield against this noise so you can protect yourself from it.
Protecting your mental space, that's vital.
Because other people's negativity can really drag you down.
Absolutely. It can chip away at your self-belief, stop you from going after things, developing that emotional resilience, learning to filter out those limiting projections. It's essential for staying true to your own path.
And there's a note of caution about sharing your past. Do not discuss your past with anyone, because only you know its true story and significance others may not understand or even use it against you.
That feels a bit strong, maybe. Anyone.
Yeah, maybe a bit absolute. But the underlying point about vulnerability seems valid.
True. Sharing your history is vulnerable. While openness is generally good in relationships, maybe it's about being discerning, choosing who you trust with your deepest stories. Because, yeah, interpretations and intentions can vary.
That makes more sense. The video also acknowledges that people leave our lives. Sometimes you just have to walk away, let people go, and let relationships end.
Accepting impermanence.
And also, people will walk in and out of your life, and those you least expect will become past remembrances of a temporary time you once thought was permanent.
Wow, that's quite poetic. But true, right. Change is constant, even in relationships.
Accepting that some connections are temporary helps appreciate them while they last.
I think so. Appreciate the time you have without clinging desperately when it's time for things to shift or end.
On a more healing note, it says, one of my biggest lessons in life is we heal at the speed of our forgiveness.
Powerful. Holding on to resentment blocks healing.
Forgiving others, and maybe ourselves too.
Yes, both are crucial. Holding on to anger, resentment, it keeps you stuck emotionally in the past. Forgiveness, even though it can be really hard, ultimately frees you.
Then there's a slightly harsher truth. A tough lesson in life that one has to learn is that not everybody wishes you well.
Yeah, unfortunately true. Not everyone's intentions are good.
Recognizing that helps you be more discerning, set boundaries.
Exactly. Helps protect yourself from potential harm or just negative influences.
It also points out our own limitations in seeing others clearly. You think you know someone, but mostly you just know what you want to know,
Ooh, our perception is biased.
filtered through our own stuff.
Yeah, our own beliefs, expectations, desires, they color how we see people. Really understanding someone takes empathy, active listening, being willing to look beyond our assumptions.
Reciprocity gets highlighted too. It took a long time, but I've learned that you just can't take anything you want out of life without putting something back in exchange.
The give and take, essential for balance.
Relationships need to be a two-way street to work long-term.
For sure. Healthy, sustainable connections, whether personal or professional, they need that balance. If it's all one-sided taking, it leads to resentment, imbalance, and eventually things fall apart.
Okay, just a few final points on relationships that seem important.
Yeah.
Be cautious with good deeds. Kindness has limits, and some may exploit your generosity.
Setting limits even on kindness.
Don't take people for granted. You never know when they could be gone.
Appreciate people now.
You never know how much they mean to you until they're gone. Then stop trying to change other people because it almost never works.
Accept people as they are, mostly.
And linked to that,
Yeah.
you won't always be able to help someone change for the better. Accepting limitations.
Right. And finally, you cannot control the behavior of others, but you can always choose how you respond to it.
Focusing on your own reaction.
Exactly. These last few really wrap up the theme of self-awareness within relationships, knowing your limits, appreciating people, accepting you can't control others, but you can control your response. Vital stuff for navigating the social world.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift focus again this time to personal growth and resilience. And wow, this video is just packed with insights here.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
It kicks off with a really fundamental one. The biggest thing you need to accept is change.
Can't avoid it.
And it frames it positively. Change is not a threat. It's an invitation to live.
I like that framing. Embracing change rather than fighting it lets you adapt, learn, grow. Resisting just causes stress, makes you feel stuck. Seeing it as an opportunity, that shifts everything.
Learning from mistakes is another big theme. Keep an open mind and act like an artist, but think fail and learn like a scientist.
Ooh, I like that combination. Creativity and analysis.
And also the comforting idea that good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment.
So true. Failure is part of the process.
So mistakes aren't failures, they're data.
Exactly. That's the growth mindset, right? Viewing mistakes as learning opportunities allows you to adjust, make better choices next time. It's a scientific approach to living, almost.
The video also stresses consistency. Commitment is what gets you started. Consistency is what gets you somewhere, and persistence is what keeps you going.
The 3 C's. Yeah, crucial for any long-term goal.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Totally. Commitment gives you the initial push. Consistency builds those habits and momentum, and persistence, well, that gets you through the inevitable tough spots.
It offers a hopeful view on endings, too. You don't need to worry much when someone you love leaves you most of the time. It's for the good.
That might be hard to swallow in the moment.
True, but maybe reassuring long-term. And linked to that, what is coming is better than what is gone.
An optimistic outlook. It suggests endings, even painful ones, can create space for new, potentially better things we couldn't have foreseen. Trusting in that possibility can help with healing.
Finding purpose is framed differently, too. Not as some grand quest, but
Yeah.
you don't find your purpose somewhere else. You create your purpose exactly where you are, and you bear meaning to it.
Purpose as something you create, not find.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Imbuing your current life with meaning.
Right. Purpose doesn't have to be this single preordained thing you stumble upon. You can cultivate it through your actions, your intentions, the meaning you choose to give to what you're doing right now.
And action is key. Action breeds more clarity than thought. So you can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one.
Get moving. Don't just sit and think about it.
Because thinking can lead to paralysis.
It can. Overthinking, endless planning. Sometimes you just need to do something, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. That real-world feedback clarifies things much faster than just thinking.
Happiness is also reframed. Chasing happiness will lead you to misery. until you realize that happiness is the way.
Happiness as a journey, not a destination.
A state of being, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. True, lasting happiness isn't some goal you achieve through external stuff. It's more like a mindset, an approach to life, finding joy, contentment in the present, regardless of what's going on outside.
And the present moment gets a lot of emphasis. All you have is the now and what you do with it.
Simple but profound. Focus on where you actually have influence.
Because the past is gone, future's not here yet.
Exactly. The present is the only time we can actually act. Focusing your attention and energy right here, right now, that's key for well-being and for actually creating the future you want.
Resourcefulness is valued highly. Success is not about your resources, it's about how resourceful you are with what you have.
Making the most of what you've got. Ingenuity.
It's just having a lot of stuff sometimes.
Often, yeah. Being creative, adaptable, finding solutions with the means available, that can be way more powerful than just having lots of resources but not knowing how to use them well.
Fear gets an interesting treatment. Not just as something bad, but fear is not there to stop you. It's there to show you that you're interested and you care.
Fear as an indicator, not a stop sign. I like that.
And then the encouragement. Fear limits most people throughout their lives. Do your best to control it, overcome it, and revel when you defeat it.
Don't let fear run your life.
Plus, the realization that once you face your fear, nothing is ever as hard as you think.
So true. The anticipation is often worse than the reality. Fear often pops up when we're doing something meaningful. If we see it as a sign of engagement, not danger, stop, we can learn to manage it, step out of the comfort zone, and discover things aren't as scary as we imagined.
Taking calculated risks is also encouraged. You cannot swim for new horizons until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore.
Gotta let go of the familiar to find something new.
And life is inherently risky. There is only one big risk you should avoid at all costs, and that is the risk of doing nothing.
Inertia as the real danger.
Growth requires stepping into the unknown sometimes.
It often does. Avoiding all risk leads to stagnation, missed opportunities. Obviously, don't be reckless, but calculated risks, thought-through risks, they're often necessary for progress.
And it offers encouragement that it's never too late to do the things you've always wanted to do.
Age is just a number, right?
No excuses based on time past.
Exactly. The desire to grow, to learn, to pursue dreams that doesn't have an expiration date. You can always learn new things, start new paths.
Challenges are seen as growth opportunities. Bad days build better days.
Learning from difficulty.
Never back down from a real challenge. They give the best lessons in life.
Embrace the hard stuff.
And tough times teach us that our resilience is stronger than we ever imagined.
Adversity reveals strength. Overcoming challenges builds that resilience muscle, expands your skills, deepens your understanding of what you're capable of. You find strength you didn't know you had.
Life's unpredictability is accepted. Your life won't go as planned, and trust me, it's a good thing.
Need to trust that process, maybe.
Flexibility is key.
Yeah, life rarely sticks to our neat little plans. Embracing the unexpected, adapting, finding the good in the detours, that often leads to a richer life than trying to force everything to fit a rigid script.
When things get tough, the advice is simple. The only way out is through.
No shortcuts, just perseverance.
Avoiding problems doesn't solve them.
Rarely. Facing difficulties head-on, persevering. That's usually the most effective path to actually resolving things and growing from them.
And hardship can unlock potential. Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny.
Challenges as a catalyst.
Pushing us beyond perceived limits.
Exactly. Adversity can reveal amazing strength, capabilities that might have just stayed hidden otherwise.
The power of having a vision is celebrated. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams.
Dreams fuel action.
Provide direction and motivation.
Absolutely. Having aspirations, a hopeful vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful driving force towards creating the life you want.
Sometimes, though, we need to let go of control. Sometimes we can only find our true direction when we let the wind of change carry us.
Surrendering to the flow.
Being open to where life takes you.
Yeah, being open to new possibilities, allowing unforeseen circumstances to guide you. Sometimes that leads you to better places than you could have planned.
Personal growth should be non-negotiable. Never sacrifice your growth for anyone.
Protect your own development.
It's essential for long-term well-being.
Definitely. Prioritizing your own growth isn't selfish. It's necessary for fulfillment and actually helps you show up better in your relationships too. It shouldn't always be on the back burner for someone else.
There's an important distinction made. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional.
Ah, yes. The difference lies in our response.
We can't avoid pain, but we don't have to prolong the suffering.
Exactly. Our interpretation, our reaction to painful experiences, that largely determines how much we suffer. Cultivating a resilient mindset helps navigate pain without getting stuck in suffering.
And even painful times hold lessons. When something happens and it causes us pain, the pain is there to teach us a lesson. It is not so that we feel pain for the sake of pain.
Finding meaning in adversity.
Turning pain into wisdom.
Yeah. Reflecting on tough experiences, trying to understand the lessons they offer that can transform suffering into growth, contribute to your evolution.
Letting go of the past is crucial for the future. Don't let the memories of your past limit the potential of your future.
Don't let past regrets define what's possible now.
Release the grip.
Holding on to old hurts, regrets, limiting beliefs, it creates this invisible ceiling. Letting go frees you up to embrace new possibilities.
Our minds are often the biggest barrier. There are no limits to what you can achieve on your journey through life except in your mind.
Mindset is everything. Believing in your potential.
Our beliefs define our boundaries.
Often, yes. Cultivating a belief that more is possible can literally unlock doors you never thought existed.
Challenges need to be faced. We must meet the challenge rather than wish it were not before us.
Confrontation over avoidance.
Because wishing doesn't make it go away.
Right. Facing challenges head-on builds skills, confidence, and actually helps you overcome them. Avoidance just prolongs the agony.
And getting through challenges changes us. When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in.
Resilience shapes us. Transformation through adversity.
We emerge stronger, more evolved.
Definitely. Navigating hard times leads to significant growth, deeper self-understanding, more empathy, more resilience.
Courage is presented as foundational. Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently.
Courage enables everything else. Honesty, integrity, kindness.
Need courage to act on them consistently.
Exactly. Courage is that willingness to act on your values, even when it's scary or difficult. Without it, other virtues might falter under pressure.
Stagnation is framed as a danger. You don't drown by falling in the water, you drown by staying there.
Need to take action to get out of trouble.
Movement is required.
Yeah. Staying stuck in negative situations, dwelling on problems without doing anything, that can be more damaging than the initial setback. Progress requires action.
Even when you can't see the whole path, start walking. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step.
Trust the process. Begin anyway.
That first step builds momentum.
It often does. It provides clarity, reveals the next step. Sometimes you just have to start with a leap of trust.
We need to believe in our own worthiness. Don't let anyone ever make you feel like you don't deserve what you want.
Self-worth is fundamental.
Empowers you to pursue goals, set boundaries.
Absolutely. Believing you are inherently worthy allows you to strive for what you desire and build a fulfilling life.
And being too cautious can be a trap. The chief danger in life is that you may take too many precautions.
Risk aversion can limit life.
Missed opportunities.
Yeah. While being prudent is good, excessive caution, fearing any risk that can stop you from fully living, reaching your potential.
Life keeps evolving, and so must we. Every next level of your life will demand a different you.
Adaptability is key. We need to change as life changes.
Can't stay the same person through different life stages.
Right. New challenges, new opportunities, they require new skills, new perspectives. Embracing that constant evolution is crucial.
Focus energy inward, not outward in criticism. Let the improvements of yourself keep you so busy that you have no time to criticize others.
Better use of energy. Focus on your own growth.
Self-improvement leaves less room for judgment.
Pretty much. Directing energy toward your own development is productive for you and makes you less likely to waste time finding fault with others.
Life's complexity is acknowledged. People tend to complicate their own lives, as if living weren't already complicated enough.
Sometimes we make things harder than they need to be.
Simplicity is underrated.
Often, yes. We create complexity through overthinking, clinging to stuff, getting tangled in drama. Simplifying can reduce stress, bring clarity.
Even in despair, there's potential for joy. Only a man who has felt ultimate despair is capable of feeling ultimate bliss.
Contrast deepens appreciation.
And hard times are sometimes blessings in disguise.
Finding the good, even in difficulty. Experiencing hardship can actually deepen our capacity for joy. The contrast makes the good times feel even better.
Mental rehearsals aren't always helpful. Rehearsing situations in your head is a waste of time. The situation will always be different than anything your imagination will come up with.
Reality rarely matches the script in our heads.
Better to focus on adaptability.
Yeah, some preparation is fine, but endless mental loops about what if? Reality is unpredictable. Better to build resilience to handle whatever comes.
Hard times reveal inner strength. Hard times don't create heroes. It is during the hard times when the hero within us is revealed.
Adversity shows us what we're made of.
Brings out hidden quality.
Exactly. Challenges test us, and they can uncover this deep well of resilience and courage we didn't even know was there.
True happiness isn't about avoiding problems. Happiness is not the absence of problems, it's the ability to deal with them.
Happiness as coping capacity. Problems are normal.
It's about resilience, not a perfect life.
Right. It's about developing the skills, the mindset, the emotional strength to navigate difficulties effectively and still maintain well-being.
We need courage to move beyond our past. The great courageous act that we must all do is to have the courage to step out of our history and past so that we can live our dreams.
Don't let history define your future.
It requires bravery to break old patterns.
It really does. Letting go of past stories that hold you back, stepping beyond limiting beliefs, that's essential for creating the future you want.
Change starts within. Nothing in your life will change unless you change.
Be the change you want to see in your life.
We drive our own transformation.
Yeah. External changes often require internal shifts, first in beliefs, attitudes, behaviors. You have to be willing to change yourself if you want different results.
Maturity means action, not complaints. Maturity is when you stop complaining and making excuses and start making changes.
Taking responsibility, moving beyond blame.
Towards proactive solutions.
Exactly. That shift from victimhood, or just complaining, to actually taking steps to address things and create positive change, that's a key sign of maturity.
Patience is important.
Yeah.
You can't understand everything immediately. Sometimes you need to wait.
Some things take time to unfold.
And when patience pans out, you realize you've not waited for long.
Perspective changes afterwards. Allowing time for understanding, for situations to develop naturally, it can reduce frustration and often leads to better outcomes.
Endings can be freeing. Sometimes some goodbyes set you free.
Letting go can open doors.
Release from situations that aren't working.
Yeah. Goodbyes can be hard, but sometimes they release you from patterns, relationships, situations that were holding you back, creating space for something new.
Purpose fuels drive. If you have a strong purpose in life, you don't have to be pushed. Your passion will drive you there.
Intrinsic motivation is powerful.
Purpose provides direction and energy.
For sure. A clear sense of purpose gives meaning, direction, and that inner drive that propels you forward even when things get tough, without needing constant external pushes.
It's okay not to know everything. Life changes for the better when we realize that we don't have to know everything and we don't have to pretend that we do.
Humility fosters learning. Embrace being a beginner.
Pretending you know it all blocks growth.
Totally. Embracing a learning mindset, admitting you don't have all the answers. That opens you up to new information, different perspectives, continuous growth.
Aim to be a positive force. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone feels loved and believes in the goodness in people.
Our actions ripple outwards. Make them positive.
Small acts of kindness matter.
They really do. Intentionally contributing positively creates a better environment for everyone, including yourself.
Reinvention is always possible. It's never too late to reinvent yourself.
We're not fixed. We can change significantly.
At any age, any stage.
Exactly. We always have the power to learn new skills, adopt new perspectives, make big changes, regardless of our past or current situation.
Persistence doesn't always guarantee success. Actions rooted in persistence sometimes bear bitter fruit.
Need to know when to change tack, too.
Persistence needs self-awareness.
Right. While persistence is usually good, you also need to be aware if your efforts just aren't working, if they're consistently leading to negative outcomes. Sometimes you need to adapt the approach.
Obstacles are challenges to navigate. Obstacles don't have to stop you if you run into a wall. Don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it.
Problem-solving mindset. Find a way.
Obstacles aren't dead ends.
Exactly. Seeing them as puzzles to solve rather than insurmountable barriers fosters creativity, resilience, determination.
Know the difference between wants and needs. You can't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes you get what you need.
Managing expectations. Finding contentment.
Focus on fundamentals, be flexible on desires.
Yeah, that can lead to greater satisfaction, reduce that feeling of always needing more.
Taking the first step is key. The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are.
Decision initiates change. Intention is the start.
That conscious choice to move forward.
That's often the biggest hurdle, recognizing the need for change and actually deciding to do something about it.
Knowing which paths to take is hard. The hardest thing to learn in life is which bridge to cross and which bridge to burn.
Discernment in decision-making, what to embrace, what to let go.
Life involves tough choices.
It really does. Navigating effectively means making those calls about which opportunities, which relationships, which paths to pursue, and which ones to release.
The lessons are always there if we look. All you have to do is pay attention. Lessons always arrive when you are ready.
Awareness is key. Be receptive.
Life is the teacher.
Pretty much. Just being present, observant. It allows you to see the valuable lessons embedded in everyday experiences, good and bad.
Stand up for your beliefs. If you believe very strongly in something, stand up and fight for it.
Integrity and conviction matter.
Act on your values.
Yeah, acting in alignment with your core beliefs, advocating for what you think is right. That's essential for living with integrity.
Mind your thoughts and words. Guard well your thoughts when alone and your words when accompanied.
Internal and external communication both matter.
Self-awareness in both realms.
Crucial for well-being and healthy relationships. Watching that inner dialogue and choosing words carefully with others.
Own your life. The trouble is, if you don't spend your life yourself, other people spend it for you.
Agency is vital. Be intentional.
Don't let others dictate your path.
Exactly. Actively shaping your own life, making conscious choices, taking responsibility, that leads to more fulfillment and control.
Balance gratitude and ambition.
No.
Be grateful for what you already have while you pursue your goals.
Contentment and growth can coexist. Appreciate now. Strive for more.
Not mutually exclusive.
Right. Appreciating the good while still aiming for growth fosters a balanced, positive outlook.
Wishing isn't enough. If there's a single lesson that life teaches us, it's that wishing doesn't make it so.
Need action to make things happen.
Dreams require effort.
Exactly. Aspirations are important, but they need to be backed by concrete action to become reality.
It's okay not to fit in everywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not going to fit in no matter how hard you try, and it's better to just be alone.
Authenticity over forced conformity. Be yourself.
Trying too hard to fit in is draining.
And often futile. Embracing your individuality, accepting you won't click with everyone. That leads to more self-acceptance and finding genuine connections with people who do appreciate you.
Life is finite. Every journey has its final day. Don't rush.
Appreciate the present. Savor the experience.
Be mindful of time's value.
Recognizing that time is precious and limited encourages us to be more present, more mindful, more appreciative of each moment.
Look for new opportunities after setbacks. When one door closes, another opens, but we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one which is open for us.
Shift perspective to see new beginnings.
Don't get stuck staring at the closed door.
Dwelling on losses can blind you to emerging possibilities. Keeping an open perspective lets you recognize and embrace those new chances.
Trust your intuition.
Oh.
Always trust what your gut tells you, even when everybody else tries to convince you otherwise.
Inner wisdom is valuable. Listen to that gut feeling.
Even if it contradicts logic sometimes.
Yeah, intuition often draws on subconscious information, past experiences. It can provide valuable guidance, even when others disagree or logic points elsewhere.
Challenges provide the best lessons. Again, never back down from a real challenge. They give the best lessons in life.
Growth comes from facing difficulty. Lean into it.
Don't shy away from hard things.
Stepping up to challenges offers learning, skill building, confidence boosts you just wouldn't get otherwise.
Remember, you choose your inner state. You can choose which one best friend or worst enemy is more prevalent.
Mindset is a choice. Cultivate the positive.
You control that inner dialogue.
We have the agency to foster positive self-talk, manage emotions, choose a supportive inner voice. That influences everything.
Focus on your response, always. You cannot control the behavior of others, but you can always choose how you respond to it.
Your power lies in your reaction. Maintain agency.
Don't get swept away by others' actions.
While we can't dictate what others do, we always have the power to choose our own reaction. That maintains our emotional balance and control.
Find the positive in the past. Don't cry because it's super, smile because it happened.
Gratitude for experiences, even ended ones.
Focus on the good memories, the lessons learned.
rather than just dwelling on the ending, yeah. It fosters a more grateful, resilient outlook.
Growth requires learning from experience. People only get better with experience if they're willing to learn and understand the lessons that are given to them through the bad times in their lives.
Reflection turns experience into progress. Need to process it.
Through the hard times.
Actively processing experiences, extracting the lessons, that's crucial for ongoing growth.
Resilience is our ultimate strength, revealed in tough times. Tough times teach us that our resilience is stronger than we ever imagined.
We're more capable than we think. Adversity proves it.
We surprise ourselves.
Overcoming difficulties shows our inner strength and builds our capacity for future challenges.
Speak up for yourself. You have to speak up for yourself. No one else will.
Self-advocacy is essential. Communicate your needs.
Don't expect others to read your mind or fight your battles.
Effectively communicating needs, boundaries, perspectives, vital for well-being and healthy relationships.
Except you can't force others to change. You won't always be able to help someone change for the better if you keep trying. There will come a day when you decide you can't do it anymore, and they clearly don't want to change.
Respect autonomy. Know your limits. Protect your energy.
Can't want it more than they do.
Exactly. Recognizing the limits of your influence, respecting their choices, important for your own emotional health and maintaining boundaries.
Our choices create our life. Your life is the result of the choices you make.
Agency and responsibility go hand in hand.
Decisions accumulate over time.
They do. Conscious and unconscious choices shape our path, highlighting the importance of being mindful about them.
And choices have consequences. There is no plan, just the consequences of choices.
Accountability for outcomes. Actions have reactions.
Understanding that encourages more thoughtful decisions.
Hopefully. Being aware that choices lead to specific results prompts more responsibility.
Cherish time with loved ones. The most precious thing in the world is time with those you love.
Relationships are invaluable. Prioritize them.
Nurture those connections.
It contributes hugely to happiness, well-being, feeling connected.
Appreciate what you have now. We tend to forget that happiness doesn't come as a result of getting something we don't have, but rather of recognizing and appreciating what we do have.
Gratitude, again. Contentment in the present.
Shift focus from lack to abundance.
Actively appreciating what you do possess right now can significantly boost satisfaction and gratitude.
Understand your past to inform your future. Your future is your past, which you understand.
Learning from history, personal and otherwise.
Past experiences provide wisdom for future choices.
Reflecting on and understanding past experiences, good and bad, gives valuable insights that shape better future decisions and contribute to growth.
And that final, powerful callback to self-reliance. You have to help yourself. No one else can help you. You have to do it yourself. Leading to that feeling of control. Once you realize this, you will feel more in control of your life.
Right. Taking that ultimate responsibility for your own well-being, recognizing your own power to act, that's fundamental. It fosters that sense of agency, empowerment, makes you feel more capable of handling whatever life throws at you.
Wow. Okay. That was an incredibly packed journey through 70 life lessons.
70 is a lot.
It really is. And while, maybe the 93% fix was a bit of playful marketing.
Fair enough, yeah.
There's no denying there's a ton of wisdom in there for navigating life, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It covers so many core aspects of just being human, our inner world, our relationships, our resilience. Even just as short snippets, these lessons offer so much to think about.
So for you listening in, as we kind of process all these different insights, maybe think about which one really landed for you right now. Perhaps it connects back to something like self-compassion. We touched on it a bit through self-care, being your own friend.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a thought to maybe take away. What's one small way you could be a slightly better friend to yourself today? Just one single actionable thing, inspired by anything we've discussed, to cultivate a little more kindness, a little more understanding towards yourself in your daily life.
That's a great place to focus, because often the biggest changes really do start with those small, consistent acts of awareness and intention. Just picking one area, one lesson, and finding a practical way to apply it. That can be incredibly powerful.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this very deep dive. We hope these distilled lessons give you some valuable perspectives, maybe some renewed clarity or direction.
Hope so too.
Until our next exploration, take care.